This is not just a story about missile. It is a story about how close disaster came and how easily it could happen again. A farm, a missile, and a near tragedy. According to eyewitness accounts captured in the Arise News broadcast, the chain of events began shortly after a missile exploded kilometers away from Jabo. Hours later, a local farmer went to his cassava farm, an ordinary routine in an agrarian community, where farming is the backbone of daily survival. What he found was extraordinary and horrifying. Embedded deep in the soil was what authorities later confirmed to be an undetonated missile, matching the description of the one that had exploded earlier. At first, the farmer did what many civilians might do in the absence of immediate information or awareness. He tried to dig it out. When he failed, he called others. What followed sounds almost unbelievable, yet it is tragically real. Villagers reportedly tied a rope around the unexploded weapon and attempted to drag it out of the ground using a camel. At that moment, catastrophe was inches away. Had the missile detonated, the loss of life could have been devastating, not just for those present, but for nearby homes and farmlands. It took the intervention of the traditional ruler, who immediately dispersed the crowd and contacted security agencies to prevent what could have been one of the most tragic civilian accidents in recent memory. Take a listen.
Our top story, the residents of Jabo in Tambuwal Local Government Area have raised an alarm over the discovery of an undetonated missile following strikes by the United States of America. A farmer on Friday had found the undetonated missile in his farm hours after another missile had exploded kilometers away. While the area has been cordoned by security agents to prevent access to civilians, military authorities say the weapon has been dug out and explosive experts will be working to safely detonate the device.
After the Thursday blast, on Friday, a farmer in our village decided to go to his cassava farm. There, he found an undetonated missile in his farm. He made an attempt to dig it out, but he couldn't, and later mobilized people, and they used rope around the undetonated bomb and used a camel to drag it out. And later, the traditional ruler of our community came and sent everybody away and invited security agencies who cordoned off the place and asked everybody to leave for safety.
Security response and damage control. Once alerted, security agencies cordoned off the area. Police personnel and military explosive ordnance disposal teams arrived, restricting access and beginning the delicate process of handling the device. Authorities confirmed that the missile would be safely detonated by experts, emphasizing that civilian safety was now the top priority. But by then, the damage, at least psychologically, had already been done. Villagers stood behind police lines, watching experts handle a weapon that should never have landed on farmland in the first place. And that is where the bigger question emerges. Precision strikes or precision failure. The missile was reportedly part of a U.S. strike, allegedly carried out using an MQ-9 Reaper drone, a platform globally known for its advanced targeting systems and precision-guided munitions such as Hellfire missiles and laser-guided weapons. These systems are designed to minimize collateral damage. They are marketed as accurate. They are justified as surgical. So how does a precision-guided missile end up unexploded in a cassava farm, kilometers away from its alleged primary target? This is the central concern. Military sources indicated that the primary target was Tangaza, where active military operations were reportedly underway. Jabo and Tambuwal are not primary targets. They are civilian communities. Yet missiles landed there. One exploded. Another did not. And that undetonated missile nearly became a civilian disaster. Civilian risk and the reality on the ground. Precision warfare looks clean on paper and screens. But on the ground, especially in rural communities, reality is far messier. Farmers do not receive missile warnings. Villagers do not have bomb shelters. Children play in open fields. Livestock roam freely. In such environments, even one misplaced weapon is one too many. The broadcast revealed that security agencies are now actively sensitizing residents, educating them on what to do if they encounter suspicious objects. While this is commendable, it also highlights a troubling truth. The burden of safety is being shifted onto civilians after the fact. Why should farmers have to learn how to identify unexploded ordnance in the first place? A dangerous knowledge gap. One of the most alarming elements of this incident is not just the missile itself, but the lack of awareness surrounding it. The villagers did not initially recognize the danger. They attempted to remove it manually. They used a camel. This is not ignorance. It is a failure of preparedness. If this had detonated, the narrative would not be about averted calamity. It would be about mass casualties, and the conversation would be very different. This raises urgent questions. Were adequate post-strike assessments conducted? Was there real-time coordination with Nigerian ground forces? Were local authorities informed immediately of potential unexploded ordnance risks? Because if they were, civilians should never have been the first to encounter that missile. Christmas Day and the optics of force. Timing also matters. The strike reportedly occurred on Christmas Day, a period symbolizing peace, reflection, and restraint for millions of Nigerians and Christians worldwide. Even if militarily justified, the optics of foreign missile strikes on Nigerian soil during a major religious holiday cannot be ignored. For residents of Jabo, Christmas will no longer be remembered for celebration, but for fear. Not just Jabo, a broader risk zone. Correspondents on the ground warn that this may not be an isolated incident. If one undetonated missile was found here, could there be others elsewhere? Sokoto today, Zamfara tomorrow, Kebbi next, or even Borno. The concern is not hypothetical. Missiles do not recognize state boundaries. Drone warfare does not always go exactly as planned, and when it fails, civilians pay the price. Accountability and due diligence. The broadcast rightly emphasized the need for due diligence by whoever is carrying out these strikes. Precision warfare demands precision responsibility. That includes accurate intelligence, confirmed target lock, immediate post-strike assessment, full disclosure to local authorities, rapid civilian risk mitigation. Anything less is unacceptable, especially when operating in sovereign nations with dense civilian populations. While Nigerian authorities have stated they were aware of the operation, even they acknowledge gaps in information, particularly regarding weapon behavior after deployment. This incident should not be brushed aside as a technical anomaly. It should be treated as a case study, learning before lives are lost. As the correspondent noted, this is reportedly the first time since Nigeria's independence that another country has conducted such an offensive operation on its soil. That alone demands heightened scrutiny. If foreign military assistance is to continue, then coordination must deepen, transparency must improve, and civilian protection must be non-negotiable. Because the next farmer might not be as lucky, the next missile might not remain undetonated, and the next story might not end without casualties. Final thoughts, a warning that should not be ignored. The undetonated missile in Jabo is more than a frightening incident. It is a warning about the limits of precision warfare, a warning about civilian vulnerability, a warning about what happens when advanced weapons meet rural realities. Calamity was avoided this time, but luck is not a strategy. As explosive experts work to safely neutralize the device and calm slowly returns to the community, the larger question remains unanswered. If this is what precision looks like, who is truly safe? Until that question is addressed with honesty, accountability, and real corrective action, incidents like this will continue to haunt communities long after the missiles stop falling. If you found this analysis important, like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth reporting and critical perspectives on global security and its local consequences.